Do we hit play yet? Like, how are we doing this?
Oh, we're good. We're good. Maybe we should do an intro, right? Should we do an intro?
Yeah. Are we live?
let's
Are we
do it.
good?
Yeah. Oh, we're
Finally?
live, but we're gonna do our intro now. So shut up. Now you can talk.
Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, aka the Insipid Ghost. Here again with my guiding light panel, the leaders of professionalism, the reason that we're number one podcast on Season Gaming, Mr. Ainsley Bowden and Joseph Moran. Ainsley, you host the Bitcast or something or another. What's up?
You all right?
You're all right.
Yeah,
you feeling good?
probably, I had to halfway through the audio kicked in from the YouTube channel, and I was like, "Oh boy, this is
Why
really
did you
psyching me out."
introduce us both and then switch it to me? I don't know what's
I was
happening
like,
right now.
whatever.
Good
It's
evening,
where we're at.
everyone. It's been 5 weeks. I blame these guys 98% of that, and I'm sorry for their incompetence. But hopefully, we'll be back. Sometime. Mostly
Did
the
you go
guy
to
at
the
the
Halo
bottom.
Championships in that?
Mostly the guy at the bottom. But
Yeah.
Listen,
yes,
I'm always down to record. It's really Luke that's been holding his back. Oh, my feet hurt. Oh, I was bitten in the scrotum by a dog. Oh, it's like, what else you got?
I wasn't bit in the scrotum. I was bit on the leg.
That's what he says now.
Miriam has a different story.
Exactly, she was there. But how are you guys?
Boys, it's been what, 5 weeks for real since we've been able to do cast for one reason or another. Is that right?
It's been a while. Yeah.
And the worst part is it came during October with everything happening. You know what I mean? So it feels like in gaming terms and in absolute eternity, which is wild.
Yeah,
is wild. And here we are now on the eve of God of War's release. We've got review scores for that. We've got Framerate stuff to talk about, from everything from Call of Duty to Gotham Knights and Plague Tale Requiem. There's been a flurry of games since we last recorded. It's been awesome, actually. I've really had a good time the last few weeks.
Can I say something really controversial but brave?
I would love to hear your brave and controversial statement.
I kind of like that this is a kind of softer, like, holiday season. Like, it's finally jam-packed at the end of October.
Yeah.
Usually we start like mid-September and it's just non-stop until hopefully like the first or second week in December, and then everything starts tapering off. But I really like to kind of what I have been doing is just catching up on old stuff, because not a lot of stuff has been piquing my interest. So like this holiday season, I actually spent a lot of time with like games like Cyberpunk, and then finally getting into it like with games like like Plague Tale. So I don't know about y'all, but like the softer holiday season, I'm kind of digging right now.
100% with you. Cyberpunk I went through a few weeks ago. I bought Red Dead 2 this morning, but then I bought the version with story mode. Story mode is not the campaign, which is terrible description on the Xbox Store. Like, genuine, it doesn't. It's an add-on for the online or something weird like that. It's not the campaign, so I have to refund that and go and get the other version. But I'm gonna try Red Dead 2 this holiday.
But Red Dead Online is free.
There's a button. So really, if you have,
I'm very confused.
Go to the. There's a harvest sale right now on Xbox Store. There's a version that's like $26 and a version that's $34. The Ultimate Edition has Red Dead Online. I got the one that theoretically in my mind didn't have Red Dead Online, which is $20.
That makes no sense. Red Dead Online is literally free to play.
Take a look, and if you're able to look without it, because I know you own it, and just see what I'm talking about, because it's very bad. It's very badly described.
Yeah,
but story mode
be like those online bundles, like Rockstar monetizes the hell out of stuff.
Right, something like that. But story mode is not the campaign. But to Joe's point about softer review or periods, like, yeah, man, I'm stoked to go.
Red Dead Online's $20, by the way. It's not free to play.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah. It's probably free if you own the game, Ains. That's probably what it is.
I could have
So
sworn
if you
it went free to play. Sorry.
That's all good, man. So we got God of War, which is the big one I'm going to be jumping into next week. I have a weird interest in Sonic Frontiers that may go away immediately, but like I'm curious, morbid curiosity maybe. But yeah, after Gotham Knights, maybe I'll jump into Plague Tale. Like I'm liking this softer thing, like Callisto Protocol. I did the winter expansion for Resident Evil 8, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And like I could talk about all of it if we want to, but to your point about it being a lighter review season after this kind of once God of War is done, I'm looking forward to it, man. To your same thing. It's actually been a quiet niceness of 2022.
Because real talk, I was gonna go out and buy Gotham Knights day one, but I was like, I've actually really enjoyed Cyberpunk, which I still need to beat. I'm on the last level. I'm just trying to clear everything.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, I think I could wait because I'm really more interested in Plague Tale. And I'm like, Black Friday sale, that's gonna happen for sure. And then Call of Duty came, and now I'm I'm in an entanglement between Call of Duty and Cyberpunk. Which can we talk briefly about Cyberpunk?
Well, let's say, hold on. Yes, but let Ains. You doing?
I famously hate that game, so
because I know that's why you bought the chair.
No, I for me it hasn't been slow only because you guys know, like, my gaming life mostly revolves around competitive multiplayer. And so I've been playing a ton of Halo as always, and the big update for Halo's next week. Call of Duty came out, been playing a ton of that, and Warzone 2 comes out in 2 weeks, which is going to bury my time. And then Apex Legends new season just started this week with a new map. So I have just been playing competitive shooters pretty much most of my free time. I did review Plague Tale. So I ran through that because I literally got the code late. I had to travel a week where I was in Pennsylvania. Then I was in Seattle for the Halo World Championship. And what happened? I got home from Pennsylvania and I played through all of Plague Tale in a day and a half before I flew to Seattle so that I could write the review in the airport. So like I beat I think I put 21 hours in the Plague Tale to beat it. And I did that in a day and a half. I literally just, tore through it.
Do you enjoy doing that? That doesn't sound like a way to enjoy.
No, it's not fun. It's not fun. No. I mean, the good thing about Plague Tale is it's rather linear, right? So it's not like an open world game where I cut half of the content out to race through it. So I got lucky there, but no, I don't enjoy that at all. It sucks. But no, I mean, generally speaking, yeah, I've been good. There are a lot of games, but it's a weird mix where, to your guys' point, I think we're not getting like tons of giant blockbusters. It's like just this array of different experiences that, can kind of meet you in the middle, if you will. But of course, God of War next week's going to change that. So,
God bless.
Well, and I forgot about Evil West, which was put into the chat by, was it Yazblest? Yazbaz. He said that Evil West is in there, and like I'm excited for that game, and I keep forgetting it's coming out. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. It's all about right now God of War for me. Then it's Callisto, and then I'm just tackling the backlog. That's all I'm doing at this point. I played a bit of Plague Tale. I want to get more into it, but I just can't sink that time in between, again, Cyberpunk and now Call of Duty that has my full attention so far. So for me, those are the two games that I'm really looking forward to. The rest right now could wait till like a Black Friday sale. But Ains, I want to talk to you now finally about Cyberpunk, okay? Because I've been too excited about it, and now Ains, his mic doesn't work. Now he's...
What's your question about Cyberpunk, though?
Tech issues are fun, guys. I'm here.
Here we go.
I know. Ains, I have to tell you something about Cyberpunk.
Okay, go ahead and insult it.
Really, really, really like this game. I think it's great. I'm really happy that I got to play it where it mostly works. And yeah, go for
it. If you guys saw the DMs I have suffered through with these two clowns you see in front of you for the past 2 years about this game.
The game launched broken.
When
I don't know why.
Luke, you argue this all the time, and I've literally proven to you it didn't.
You haven't. It was broke. Okay.
It was broken.
I put 135 hours in it at launch. for review.
It was a mess. It was a
Nope.
mess.
No, okay, hold on. We're gonna settle this right now. We're gonna settle
here
this.
we go.
Audience.
All right.
Luke is saying it was a mess at launch and it was broken. He couldn't play it, but he didn't play it. Does that logically
Ains,
make sense?
they
Can he
pulled
prove?
it
Hold on.
from
No,
the
stop talking. I'm going to
PlayStation
mute you.
Store.
I'm going to
They
mute you.
changed-
He's muted.
You did
So,
it.
how can you argue something is broken and unplayable if you don't attempt to play it?
I
Go ahead.
please. I attempted to play it, and every time I met Johnny Silverhand, the game crashed.
Fine. Luke didn't do that. He went on what other people were talking about.
Live streams are live streams, bro. Like if you're
Said it's broken, and then decided that he wasn't going to play it.
I'm not sticking around if you keep muting me. That's not cool.
You keep interrupting me. So the point is the game is nearly a 90 meta at launch, and that many people who played it on PC or Series X didn't have the issues you're talking about. There were minor
I feel
bugs.
like I'm at a fucking Trump rally. This is
There were minor bugs, but
so minor that they pulled it from the PlayStation
Luke,
Store.
you didn't
and they
play
changed the refund policy
Luke,
on Xbox.
You didn't play it.
How are you going to tell me?
Did you play it?
It's fine at launch.
Did you play it?
No. I watched plenty of people play it. And I'm like,
Case
I'm not
closed.
doing that. No, not
Case
case closed. They changed the refund policy, Ains.
For you?
They pulled it from the PlayStation Store.
Did
and
you
you're
get a
tell me this thing
refund?
had a good launch?
Did
Are
you
you
get a
out of your
refund?
mind? They've abandoned the
I
red
did.
engine for the next one.
I
Luke,
did. I got it.
I want to
crazy.
hear
I
your
can't
answer
believe-
again. Luke, did you play it?
No, I watched enough
Thank
people
you.
and watched the
Problem.
reviews, and I
Problem
did my
solved.
research to know that I was like, this isn't something
Anyway.
I want to bother with right now. How
Anyway.
are you defending that?
I played 135 hours at launch, unlike my colleague who doesn't play games and talks about them all the time.
Thank
Oh,
you, Yellow Chair. I appreciate you, Yellow Chair. This is good. This is good. Continue your unbiased.
Continue
sounds
talking about
we-
how I played it
all
at
love
launch.
each other here.
God no.
Of how I played it at launch. Is that what we're
You're
talking about?
You are actually advocating that it didn't have a disastrous launch.
I did. That's
CD
not what I
Projekt
said.
Red's-
That's not what I said.
That's what I've been saying.
That's
It
what
was a
he's
mess at
arguing.
launch.
Is.
It's a mess at launch. Why bother? Like, why go in if I wasn't diehard on it and I could wait for updates and fixes?
I missed the show.
Thank you.
Good for you, Mariano. Like that's the. I don't understand. Like,
You don't
What-
understand that people like us played it and reviewed it at launch without big issues?
God bless you. Good on you. It's still a mess of a launch.
I didn't say the launch wasn't messy. I said that you made it sound like you couldn't play it. And what I've been saying is you could, you just didn't bother because of what was going on around the launch.
Yeah,
You
they
let
wouldn't deal with
that,
mess.
yeah, you let that determine what you were going to do. You didn't actually do it. You let other things determine what you were going to do. Joe, to his credit, which I don't say often, actually played it, had
Fair.
issues, and stopped playing it. That's fair. Saying these people over here had issues, so I'm not going to play it, isn't
I wasn't
speaking from
interested.
experience.
I wasn't interested in wasting my time with something I had a passive interest in and didn't want to deal with bugs and a mess of a game. Didn't have an interest in Cyberpunk. Wasn't going to go in for what everyone was saying was good or bad or whatever because it was a mess. It was a mess of a launch.
But you're not speaking from experience.
No,
You're
that's not what I'm arguing. I've never argued that point.
From an outsider looking in, it was a messy launch.
Yeah.
I completely agreed with that. But I'm saying that didn't preclude you from attempting to play it and having a good time. You let other people do that for you.
Correct. But I wasn't interested in going through that mess of a launch. Didn't have an interest in it. Now I got Johnny.
That's a different conversation.
Like Johnny's right there. Respect the game. Love the game. But like I waited until 2 years after launch for the next gen update 1.5. I actually started when it was 1.6. But that was not going to go in for something I didn't have a serious interest in when it had such a mess of a launch.
Yeah.
No way.
That's fine.
Different
Would you?
conversation. All I'm saying is you didn't play it, yet you speak like you tried it and it was broken. That's all I said.
I've watched
So you
so
can't
many,
speak that. No.
I watched so many live streams
No.
that are being broken. What's that?
Nope.
What do you mean no? Like I don't understand
Because
where
you
you're
didn't
coming
play
from.
it.
It would. There
That's
are
it.
so many. Ains, I'm not arguing that I didn't play it. I completely respect your position on that. But dude, the thing was such a disaster at launch.
enjoying
that
this, Joe?
two major first parties were like, you know what we need to do? We need to adjust how we're handling this game. and they revamped everything for Cyberpunk.
All I'm arguing for you is you spoke from experience of which you had none.
No, I
That's
did
it.
not speak from experience. What?
Yes, you did.
I think Luke, you missed a sentence of where Ains was looking for. So all I think Luke needed to say was, from an outsider looking in, comma, it was a mess of a launch that had
Okay.
these
If I'm-
companies change their
Sure.
policies.
Sure.
I don't think anyone's
Because
arguing that. We've talked
it
about
was
that
messy.
at DM. I mean, no one's
And
arguing that.
I am coming through experience going, the game was a mess. I couldn't play it. That sucks. And I think there has to be this whole, it's a bigger conversation of, okay, well, I liked it, or I didn't experience any problems, but also recognize that I may be in the minority when talking about that. Like going, okay, well, like I didn't
That's what I wrote in my review.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems, but I've seen the footage. I've seen what other people have gone through, and yes, I may be speaking in the minority here when talking about my experience, but it is my experience. So I feel like people use that as a bulletproof shield of like, well, you can't really judge it because I didn't have that experience, and
that's I don't think that's a bulletproof shield.
That being said, now we can finally talk about this game for a quick second.
I disagree with that final statement, by the way, but
yeah, whatever. I'm not going to get into it because I just want to talk about this goddamn game. Don't want to talk about semantics.
He played it. Now he loves it. Good.
Well, here's the thing. I really like this game. I wanted to wait for the latest update for the transmog stuff because that was the final thing holding me back from the game, was just how stupid my character would look if I didn't have my transmog set. It's like that weird little bit of the RPG, like wanting to be in that character, that was holding me back. That being said, now here's my rant. I love this game. I love so many of the characters and so many of the stories that they're telling through the game. My wife, Judy, I think we could have a real debate about.
You don't get to come in 2 years later and try and steal my wife. All right, it don't work that way. Sorry.
Listen, we had a connection, and but like
all day.
Pan Am she's a little much, but honestly, I've loved where the story took me so far. And Ains, the thing I've been dying to tell you when it came to Johnny was, I'm 100% with you. Last time we talked about it, Johnny's arc is incredible. Like watching your relationship with Johnny grow throughout the stories, you really start to sympathize with him, see the world through his lens. And I don't know about y'all, but like I was just like, yeah, Johnny, you are 110% right.
You agreed with him. That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of it I agreed with him on. But I really dug the story, the action. I went like guns blazing, and then halfway through I was like, I'm just gonna actually be a ninja. And then halfway through, not halfway through, and then a third of the way through, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna change it to pistols. And it really, I felt like I was playing the game the way I wanted to play in that moment, and it wasn't punishing me much for playing the game the way I wanted to play it.
You can play it in a lot of different ways. The reason I was laughing, and to be dead serious for a second, because I know this game has been a running joke between the three of us for a long time now.
It really
but I am glad, all sincerity, that you guys have finally played through it, finally appreciate the things I'm talking about. However, I do want to caveat,
please,
our DMs of Cyberpunk may go public one day to show the audience the shit I deal with you two on a damn weekly basis with discussions like this. Because it was not 2 months ago or something. I don't know if it was Luke or Joe, because you guys sound so similar at times with your debate.
Oh shit.
But one of you said, I'm like 15 hours in and I don't see why this game is special. And we had this conversation.
That was me.
And I said, you haven't gotten to the things in the game that make it special.
Yeah.
And you argued back saying, if I have 15 hours in a game, I should be able to tell if it's special. And I was like,
I agree with
because the arc of the characters, like Johnny, like others in the game, is written like a book, like a novel, like a long movie, where you need to experience all that to recognize what makes it special. And hearing Joe talk about how special the arc was with Johnny now has me happy but frustrated at the same goddamn time, because this is what I always tell you guys when you put 5 hours in a game and bitch about it.
Well, you made a good point.
Damn, I'm hyped up tonight. I need to go play Halo, man. I got too much energy right now.
You made a good point last time because we talked about this on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
Because you said, would you watch 15% of a movie and then say something's not special? And my argument was,
yes, you argued that point back.
Yeah, I stand by my logic, but I understand your point wholeheartedly. Is that should you be able to go in 15 hours and not feel something special? To me, that seems like a long time. I wouldn't watch 15 hours of a show and not feel something special. Now, but I know Joe wants to go on this one for a minute, so I'm gonna give it back to you.
The difference is you have to talk percentages, right? Because you're
comparing your logic is fully
game
sound
to a 2-hour movie or a 3-hour
absolutely
movie. It's
different. I think that logic point makes sense. The difference is, do I want to invest 30 hours, 40 hours
that's
to
fair.
feel something? So like your logic makes perfect sense in the percentages category. My logic is, do I want to give X amount of hours?
Time investment.
If I'm not feeling
a bigger
anything,
consideration,
right?
Yeah.
And that's why Cyberpunk now is a perfect point, or at the time for me was a perfect time to play it. It had been fixed, and we'd had all these kind of gaps in first party stuff for Xbox, and there wasn't anything AAA in that time. But having played it, beaten it 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus hours, I think it's 70 hours I have into it.
Sure.
I still think it's a really good game, but I would not put it amongst the elite of Witchers, God of Wars, Metal Gear Solids, some of the top tier. I still wouldn't put it there. The open world's pretty bland, pretty lame duck open world.
Yeah.
It's so detailed and beautiful, but like not a lot to do, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there are elements where I'm like, that falls short, and I could see what they were going for.
I play this game and I'm like, again, combat, great. I it's what I always want like Fallout to be, right? Story is great, but for me at this point in time, right at the final level, the open world feels like there was an architect that built this model, and I'm just driving through this model city where I feel like GTA does this really interesting thing where, and maybe I've taken it for granted, or maybe they just do it so goddamn well. It feels like a bustling city. Like when I'm driving through Cyberpunk, I feel like at times I am the only car on the road, or there are only 15 people in front of me, or something that I've gotten 40 plus hours into this game, T-poses. People T-posed in the street. Some of the scenes feel like a script unfolding where it doesn't flow naturally, if that makes any sense. Like you could tell this thing is on rails. There was one, I think, chase scene where we're trying to chase down this ex-con who's gotten a second chance. It's like this real surreal, like, reality TV in the cyberpunk world, where he's like murdered 7 people, and the 7 families are conflicted of how they feel about him getting this reality show and him claiming that he's reformed and all that jazz. But there's this one chase scene where I'm just like, this feels like I'm on a roller coaster and things are just popping up at me. And it was those moments that were immersion breaking. While there's other times I'm walking through the alleys, and now because I'm not in a car and I'm not driving, there's more things going on, right? Like you can see there's crowds of people, smoke coming up from the sewers, like the neon lights that reflect off the ground. Like it's a really pretty time. But those times for me, as how far I've been playing through, don't happen nearly as much as what I would have liked. So to me, I while playing this game, I'm like, man, this sequel is, I think, the game that I'm going to adore. Like that's the game that's going to be my, Witcher, as it were. One of those games that is going to be in my top 10, my top 5. But right now, I think it's great, and I think everyone should at least give it a go, because I've had a fun time, and this is the time to play it. Everything's fixed, no bugs, some or no bugs.
Some bugs. I sent
Some
some clips
bugs.
that were hilarious.
And some crashes, but it has the Bethesda level jank. Maybe even a little less at this point.
I think less at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying the game. Ains. I liked it a lot. So
That's good. That's good. And
I was
that
excited
final,
to bring this up in the beginning of the show, and now
I think that's the most
it.
animated I've ever gotten on the show.
I know. I was kind of scared, and I just want to know if mom and dad are going to be all right.
I love Ainsley Bowden with all my heart.
Yeah.
Oh
Luke's he's my boyfriend. You know this.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't announce that publicly. Sorry.
No.
Sorry. I want to ask. I don't want to stay on Cyberpunk too long because we have other stuff to talk about. But there is something I want to ask because I've heard the same complaint about the city, not just from you guys, but from plenty of people. And I share some of it, so I don't want to act like it's immune to it. I agree that at times it's very pretty, but it feels like lifeless, and there's more that could be done to do that. So I'm not disagreeing. But one thing I really find funny is I look at a game like Spider-Man on PlayStation, and when I played that, you guys can correct me. Any conversation like this is anecdotal.
Oh, I know where
and Joe,
I got you.
And Joe, you would be closer to this than me for sure. But the first thing I said is, "Oh, cool! They did a really good job of recreating like a New York setting, right? Like New York City." But as you play it, there's nothing happening there. You literally go point to point to the radio call. You look for your backpacks. And it just felt after like seeing the cars and swinging around. Once I got over that mentally, I was like, "There's nothing here. This is nothing." Yet I didn't see that criticism levied at Spider-Man, like I do Cyberpunk all the time. And either that's anecdotal and the same criticism was levied and I just didn't see it, or the expectations for Cyberpunk were so high that people are, I think, looking for things that stand out more.
I think a little bit of column A, column B.
Okay.
To be honest.
Cyberpunk projects this air of you can do anything, and then very quickly you get a vibe of you cannot do everything. Whereas I think certain games like Spider-Man, you kind of know your limits pretty early on, and as a result, your expectations change. Because you're right. I think it's a very fair point of like, I mean, like you can't go in the buildings in Spider-Man. You can't do a lot of other things. I think you're doing more than swinging around because like you can interact with a lot of the people. You can take selfies with them. There's a lot of things you can do, but to make them feel interactive. Whereas in Cyberpunk, you walk up and you can say one thing, you get a quick diatribe, and you're done.
Yeah, and the way Spider-Man traverses, it's about speed, and to me, it's like the veracity of which you're zipping through, each avenue. And so, like for me, it's I'm zipping through New York City. I'm seeing all the buildings. I'm seeing the traffic go by, and to me, it's about getting to point A to point B in the most Spider-Man way possible. Where the last thing I want to do is walk on the sidewalk and give finger guns to people. Right?
Sure.
And even there, when it comes to like, what am I doing? And those are very different open world games. So I want to preface that as well. But like the side activities that you're doing in Spider-Man are way more varied. Because at least, I'm catching pigeons or finding backpacks and stopping like a mob on the street. Where I feel like that's all I'm doing in Cyberpunk is just stopping mobs on the street. But again, Ains also kind of different as well because the way that game is. Their stories unfold isn't through little mini games. It's more through these side stories and adventures as well. So though I feel like, when it comes to like the open world, am I going to really stop for this mob hangout in the middle of Main Street? Maybe. But, to me, I feel like they're two very different open worlds in that regard. So a little bit of column A, column B, and a little apples and oranges.
Fine. I'm sure there's other examples. It's just the first one that came to mind. By the way, Rob Frawley, good to see you, Rob. He said, Joe, have you seen Edge Runners? I think he asked earlier if Edge Runners was what brought you to Cyberpunk now. And his Twitter handle is Mr. Badbit.
That's right.
You can, I mean, it's literally on the screen. I just realized. Rob,
it is.
You're killing me.
Me? Or Rob? Rob,
he said which Twitter handle is Joe?
Mr. Badbit
Joe. Insipid Ghost is Luke.
Yeah. For for me, I've watched a few episodes of Edge Runners while at work, and that was the thing that got me into the world. Also, the thing that oddly got me into the world as well is watching Andor. They have some similar themes that they play with, and I love there's like this cyberpunk-esque vibe that Star Wars sometimes dives into a little bit, and it's played into a lot in Andor. So I kind of get the same feels from both. So that's what actually got me in. It's a little bit of Andor, surprisingly.
I don't want to take us off track even more, but
yeah,
from pretty much everyone I've heard, Andor is amazing.
it is incredible, and it's a different Star Wars. It's impactful. It's very good.
I gotta watch it.
It's not action packed, not at all.
Don't
fun. Think of it like it. It's just a really good narrative. But cool. Nonetheless, yeah, that's how I got into it.
Very cool.
Bam. 30 minutes in, boys. You want to just dive right into it?
Oh boy. So where do we want to go? God of War?
I think that's the big topic of the hour. I do want to talk about reviews overall over the past few weeks, but I think God of War is the right place to begin. God of War launched. Did not launch. God of War launches on the 8th, and reviews went live this morning with
the 9th, isn't it?
Is it not the 9th? I thought it was the 8th.
Anyway.
No, maybe whatever. Next week. Yes. God of War launches next week. Time is recording.
That's the 9th, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. Reviews have gone live to near universal acclaim, 10s on nearly every single outlet. However, dead game, Metacritic 94, not 95. There's no way to recover.
Honestly, I think let's just call it a day, man. I think Sony definitely peaked with the 95, and it's really downhill with this 94.
I think I'm obligated to say, because I have Xbox in my show title, that Forza did better or some ridiculous other comparison.
Saw a Twitter post from it. It was I blew my mind.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna put out there that Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 97. So
I'm proving once again that reviews don't matter. Good. Haven't played it. Tried to buy
again.
it.
Hasn't played it. The usual.
Hey,
Still
I
not
beat
sure.
that one. I beat that one.
You did well. You said you didn't do the epilogue.
Oh wait, I didn't do the. Well, I did most of the epilogue. I was like, I can't stand this.
Anyway,
I gotta go. No. I stopped. I can tell you the point. I stopped. I'm getting groceries with my son. What epilogue?
Wait. I gotta get groceries in this game?
All right, sorry. You love it. I don't care.
You missed the point. You missed the point. But anyway.
What was the point? The Kirkland socks.
I'm not doing this. We're not doing cast co-op DMs. The show, because that's what it's been so far.
That's right. Sorry. Continue. Luke.
No, I was gonna say. So I guessed a 91 for this game. I think the thing that I haven't played it. We didn't. Steve is reviewing it for us. I don't play it until next week. The thing that surprised me with the 94s and getting a lot of 10s again is I think the big question with this game was, and even some of the reviews have said, this game's a lot like God of War 2018, which I think we expected it to be. And that's not a bad thing. But I thought that I was concerned that it would feel not flat, certainly not flat, but like less impactful maybe because of the impact the reboot had in 2018. And kind of revisiting that same type of game, same type of performance, etc., would impact it. But seemingly, from what we've seen of the reviews, and I've gone dark on it, so I'm not looking at a lot of stuff, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. The worst thing I read is that it kind of meanders early, but that it really builds up and kind of culminates to a incredible experience. So,
Steve, when we were talking, he talked about how this does a really great job, because I'm like, how do they, how do they depower you? Every sequel, it starts off and you're like, I don't know, I feel like you're Sonic with all your coins and just burst out of you, and then you're just back to level 1 when last game you're at level 100. He said something along the lines of, this is probably one of the best sequels in that regard, because you don't feel like you are, Kratos just dropped his satchel. I'm looking at you, Aloy, and I lost all my equipment. That you start off with a lot of the things you already had from 2018, and this game is now teaching you how to use those things differently, if that makes any sense. So in that regard, cool. I want to play with some deeper, or play with ideas that maybe they had some deeper thoughts of certain weapons. I don't want to say them. And it seems like that's what they went for this game. But he also said this is more God of War 2018. You know, the combat isn't wildly different, which good. I really did like 2018's combat. When it comes to the variety of enemies, there is more variety, but not like a huge amount, which I was kind of like taken back by. I was like, all right. But the mini bosses and the bosses, I think that's where we're going to see the most variety come from God of War Ragnarok.
I think that was one of the things lacking in 2018, big time.
Yeah, and I the one thing that I wanted to get from him too was, I go, so, you know, the story, nothing spoilerish, but I'm like, you know, how was it? He's like, it's the characters, the way that they've written them that's where this game's truly going to shine. And I asked him, like, so like Thor, is he this Thanos character, or is he more of do they humanize him? And he's just like a little bit of both.
All right. Yeah, you're teetering on things I don't want to hear.
Okay, but that's where I was going to stop. So
once I go dark on a game, I don't want to hear anything about it.
Oh, that's right. That's actually where I was going to stop. So everything that I've heard so far, it is more God of War 2018, but more refined, and playing with some ideas that they have. Because even 2018, you had really interesting characters that were threatening, were imposing, but you felt for them. At least in certain scenes, you could feel how they were feeling in that moment. So yeah, cool. I'm all in, and I was actually super relieved at the review score, because the one thing that I hate during any game, especially when it's a PlayStation or an Xbox first party thing, God forbid the sequel rates slightly lower or maybe even just slightly above the sequel. Like, I don't believe that sequels have to be I've poor wording, it's been a long day, but like every sequel has to be, if God of War 2018 was a 95, this has to be a 96. Like, it could be a 90, it could be an 88, it could be a great.
It's a terrible way to look at
it. We should all be so lucky as to get more of the game we love. Like, whatever game is your favorite, Cyberpunk, for me it's Arkham Knight, for people it's God of War, whatever the game is that you love, getting more of it, like, that's a great thing. And if this is more God of War 2018, count me in all day. Like, I'm so excited for that prospect, because simply put, I love God of War 2018. I think it's the best game ever made. Why wouldn't I want more?
Sure.
You know? So I think whether it lives up to, whether it surpasses the other one or just lives up to it, like, it's still a great video game, better than 99% of the gaming experiences out there.
And maybe I just get that because I'm a Star Wars fan. And so, like, you know, we all know Empire's the best Star Wars, but I still love Jedi, you know? I still love Rogue One. It's my favorite one. But like, you can love a Solo and still go, yeah, his Solo is not as good as Empire. Who cares? And I feel like we as the gaming community get stuck on that a lot. It's like, you know, the latest has to be our favorite one. And hey, Ragnarok may just be, but like, it doesn't have to be.
No, I completely agree with you guys. I think that's part of the detriment of our gaming community social space, right? I don't think anyone that is in general gaming community that doesn't live on Twitter or YouTube or anything else, that just plays games minding their own business, is going to buy this game, play it, and they're just going to love it. And whether they love it more than 2018 or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to be, to Luke's point, and it's clearly another excellent video game. I know I'm not as high on 2018 as you guys are, even though I still think it's an amazing game. And I'm super pumped, man. I can't wait. I actually took next Thursday and Friday off of work. I have some extra time to use. So between Halo update on the Tuesday and God of War on Wednesday, and I got the Jotun edition, or Jotun, however you say it.
That's right.
I am pumped. And you can't see it because it's in the corner, but that's the God of War PS4 right there.
Nice. I have I just redid my room. I got God of War. You can't see because of the lighting, but like, by the way, cast co-op purple there. But yeah, God of War statue. I got the hammer one, whichever one the hammer is, Ains.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two. I think you might have got
There's
the
two.
same one.
The
Yeah.
collectors.
Not the
That's what I got.
top one. I didn't go that far, but I got the one with the hammer.
I don't need a
Yeah.
vinyl. I'll never use.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was. I just wanted the statue, and
Yeah.
I'm stoked, man. I also have Friday off next week,
Cool.
and I'm there.
And my
Yeah, I'm
pants will
pumped,
be
man.
off.
I'm pumped. Yeah, I'm pumped about everything, and I completely agree with the concept of the whole. This one better score is high. We're gonna have the same conversation with Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Too is it's one of the highest scoring games of all time, despite my personal thoughts on it. And people are gonna expect that the next one is gonna hit that same bar. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, okay, it can still be a fantastic game that millions of people love. So all of that aside, the one thing that I'm really excited about, one of my criticisms of 2018 is that as much as I loved some of the moments in that game, and especially I loved the writing with Mimir, I think he was a fantastic kind of addition to that journey.
Yeah.
Most of the exposition, which is kind of meaningful to the story, comes very late. It's like they did the same thing with Zero Dawn, Horizon. It's like, okay, little bit. Here's everything that's happened. And so from what I've read of the very light kind of summaries I've read, many people are saying the writing is phenomenal in this game. And I love to hear that. So I'm super excited.
I'm curious if you guys experience this at all, because we're talking about like people loving and hating and going after in social media spaces, how people feel and review about games. Quite a bit I have found that I no longer enjoy talking about games in social spaces, or I'll leave group chats, or I won't talk about certain games anymore, or I'll double down.
Yeah, like I learned to maybe not talk about fucking Cyberpunk because we'll go on a 15-minute tangent that goes nowhere.
Well, I mean, like, and kind of, like I really I struggled my way through Gotham Knights, but I found that I liked a lot of elements of it, and at the end of the journey, once I stopped trying to make it an Arkham game, it's like, you know what, I really do like this game, but it was not at all the same thing. Joe, you look like you're having a seizure. You okay over there, bud?
No, I'm fighting a sneeze. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, that was very.
I know what seizures look like. I've seen them firsthand.
All right, someone please clip it. Joe's face there. We can use that. Anywho, I don't like talking about it much anymore because as the guy who liked Anthem, as the guy who enjoyed Crackdown, who also enjoyed The Witcher and God of War and Breath of the Wild and other highly related games.
I think Avengers is your most well-known one.
That's right.
Man, like, let me like something. Let me like it for the reason.
Let me like Biomutant, guys. Damn it.
You know what?
Nah.
Nah, I can't do that.
We all have limitations.
No, I get what you say, Luke. Because I'm kind of there too. I just want to like. One person's like, Joe, you say like you're tired of The Last of Us. This is when like The Last of Us remake came out. You're tired of this discussion between 1 and 2, but man, do you like to bash Red Dead 2 like an awful lot? And I got some introspective like thoughts there. I was like, you know what, I should stop that. Because like I'm playing a bit. Like I obviously don't mean it. In terms of like you, Ains, I don't care that if you like Red Dead 2 is like your favorite game of all time. I'm glad that it's your favorite game of all time. That type of thing.
It's not, but it's up there.
But it's up there. For me, it's not. But like, I don't want to yuck your yum. So that's gonna be my new mission. Because like for all the people, like for The Last of Us Part 1, like, oh look, it didn't rate as high as the original on PS3. My brother played that for the first time because of the show, and he loved it so much. Now he's playing Part 2, and it's so interesting to see someone that didn't have to have the conversation about the game. He's just experiencing it.
Well, that's kind of what I was referring to with God of War, right? Like this little circle of Twitter, social media space that we live in every day. It doesn't matter to the millions of people going out to Target and buying their copy. They're going to play it and love it.
Yeah, like even the golf, like my brother, I gave him a round of applause because I was just like, we had it revolves around spoilers, so I won't get into it for Last of Us, but we had like this series of talk of like, who do you think the main character actually is in Last of Us and all that, and he was getting them right, and the one moment that I loved was he goes, I had to kill someone that I didn't want to kill. And that made me feel it made me feel weird. And he's like, but I ultimately really liked it. And I wonder why that's the case, why I had to kill that person. And I'm like, damn, I think you're about to fuck around to find out. And that to me is, it's awesome seeing it firsthand of like, my brother is loving both Last of Us and Part 2. And none of the dialogue, none of the spoilers, he's just experiencing it for the first time. So I really want to take a step back when we're, making little jabs, just to understand the little jabs are playful. Like Cyberpunk, if you love it and you love the open world, it's fine. Awesome. Go love it. Go for it. But yeah, like the whole review conversation and speaking about games now, it comes, I feel like, from such a defensive stance where it's like, well, if you don't 100% love God of War 2018 and you don't think it's a masterpiece, you go straight to hell.
Did you see the comments that GameSpot was getting for giving it a 9? People were going off. People who haven't played the game were going off saying they should have gave it a 10, and they were attacking what's his name? One of the well-known guys on Twitter for giving it a 9.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like Call of Duty with the IGN giving it a 6.
That's 6.
It's like, and I played that campaign. And I'm here to tell you it's one of my favorite like Call of Duty campaigns. I'm gonna be even really crazier and be a real chat about it. But like Call of Duty Modern Warfare is one of my favorite games this year. And I look at that 6 and I go, yeah, I could see how he got there. Not the score I would have given it, but that's fine. And I don't need to attack them. I'm like content. I'm like, okay, cool. They didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it. And that's
one person's opinion. That's literally what it is. It's one person's
opinion.
And if you, sorry, Luke, I was just going to say, because I've had this conversation many, many times, and Travis and I talk about it a lot, which is it's one person's opinion. And if they're doing their job as a reviewer, if you actually take time, which most of these clowns don't, take time and read the review, you should be able to see how they got to where they got. Yeah. That's as simple as that. And you may disagree with it, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with reviews. Enjoy it. There's plenty of games that are 4s and 5s that I've enjoyed in my time.
Yeah. You play Biomutant.
Got me.
I'll tell you this, guys. I've been making a conscious effort in the last probably year and a half to not, as Joe put it, yuck anyone's yum. Like really and truly to not go after people's opinions. More and more in the last year, I would say. And I mean, when we're not playing the bit, right? Like when we're not making the jokes about Red Dead or when we're not playing the bit, I've been making a conscious effort, and I would welcome somebody to scan my Twitter handle and be like, "Yo, were you?" Because I bet you 10 years ago, douche. Like I was going after people's opinions. And I don't think I do that anymore, and at least I try not to. I'd be dismayed to find out that I am, because it really sucks when people do that to you, regardless, right? It's an opinion, and I am excited because at some point Travis is going to come on, and we're going to do a spoiler cast for Gotham Knights, a game that. Cool. Maybe doesn't need one, right? But like, totally get where he's coming from. I get his review. I even agree with a lot of it. Still had a blast, right? I'm anxious to play. It's same with plenty of other games. And when I see people attack someone for enjoying something because of a review, it's like, yo, dog. There are a lot of games out there that review very poorly at launch because that's not how the way games work anymore, or they're meant to evolve, or they're looking for something that needs to be there in an objective conversation that's worth debating, graphics or frame rate response, input delays. But the fun factor is the intangible part, and that is where it's like you can't attack someone for enjoying something. Yeah. Like that's the part that makes me so upset.
And I think the one thing to jump on, and maybe this is where we could switch to the 30 FPS talk, is like Gotham Knights. Like we're not saying you must just consume and only consume, but I'm not going to sit here and post time and time again about Gotham is only at 30 FPS and look at this weird thing this guy's in a wall. Like I'm tired of that. It's not interesting. It's the constant adding Gotham Knights going, when are you going to add in 60 FPS? Like that stuff is really, you can air your disappointment, but don't make it your personality. And I see that a lot with people. And I've now been starting just to call them out on it. I see a lot of people now finally picking up Gotham Knights, enjoying it. I go, oh, but I thought you were not I thought no day one.
Mhm.
I don't care. You bought it first week. That's helping them. You bought it full price. I don't care.
Mhm.
You used the Target gift card. They still got that money.
Mhm.
You didn't teach them anything. You know, that is to me the tiring thing is seeing these people complain, bitch, moan, holler, and then consume. And
Right.
it's like that didn't help anyone, and it definitely didn't help the people that were making this game. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'll air my grievance of Gotham Knights, but I'm still excited to get my hands on it eventually.
Eventually is a
I'm
great call. Yeah.
and instead of being uber critical and making it my personality, it's like a follow-up tweet I made. It's like, hey, reviews scores are in, but I'm really rooting for this team to bring this game around. Whatever's not working, I hope they fix to make it work, whatever that is. And I think we need more of that,
Mhm.
less of
Uh,
look at this picture.
Very much
Yeah,
so.
Less ray tracing.
Making it
Yeah.
the personality is the part that I think is so frustrating. Like, I really do wish more games were 60 frames as a standard. Absolutely, 100%. I don't know where you would come off in defending that, but also like that's not a fun factor element, right? That's a digital foundry. That's a Twitter conversation, and simply put, like, not where I'm there. And we're picking. I say we, but like the gaming community, I should say, picks and chooses when and how they want to attack different elements of visuals, of aesthetics, of graphics. Like, I gotta tell you, I'm seeing this RTX mess about Halo Infinite. Maybe my eyes suck, but I'm like, this doesn't look good. Like, that doesn't look good in that little like divider thing where they've got something on left and right. I don't see one
I don't see
looking
it. I
better.
think it's the same picture.
They're talking. They're talking about adding. It's funny you mentioned that because I was going to bring that up. Is
Please.
you guys are kind of touching on part of the problem in my eyes, which is we are way too focused on the technical specifications
Yes.
of games today. As much, and
Yes.
believe me, I appreciate them as much as anyone. I literally rebuilt a effing home theater for Dolby Atmos and 120 FPS and HDMI 2.1 and everything when Halo Infinite launched. But one thing Elu at SG is really good about calling out is if you think about all the great times you've had with video games through your life and all the amazing games you've played and your memories of whatever it was that you really enjoyed, I can almost guarantee you none of it had to do with the technical specifications of the game. It's because the game was fun. You played it with friends, you played it with your family, whatever it may be. And so while I think there is a place for the conversation, so you can understand just, some people are fascinated by tech. I'm one of them. But it's far too prevalent, the leading thing in conversations as we talk about new game releases. And it's just exhausting. And I'm pretty sick of it. And just to touch on the other thing you guys were talking about with game reviews, and I know I've said this many times, especially as someone who kind of runs an outlet that does reviews, is the 1 to 10 scale and the whole, if it's not a 7 or greater, it's not worth playing, that's also exhausting. There's so many good experiences out there that can be flawed and sometimes flawed in significant ways that can still be very, very fun, or they can be in a genre that you enjoy, or tell a good story, or have good gameplay mechanics, whatever it may be, an aspect of the game that's really good. And I think all of us, and I'm speaking for myself as well, need to be more mature about the way we handle these conversations. But the other thing I would say, and I preach this all the time, as you guys know, is the less we engage with it, the better off we're all going to be.
Agree.
And it actually, you said the next Legend of Zelda. It's like, I'm gonna be pretty surprised that game hits a solid 30 FPS. You get into the woods, was it like the Lost Woods in that game, and things get choppy.
It's bad.
But
yeah,
here's the reason why, like, though in retrospect, I don't think that game hits as high for me, but and I don't want to get into specific, why. But like the moments that I had in the same room with my brother playing it undocked, and we're asking each other tips and tricks and all that stuff, while we're just playing it and having different experiences with it. Like, those are the memories that I think about. Like, I think about when playing games like Splatoon, I think about my memories with our good late friend Bobby and that community, and growing me as a creator because of that simple game. And I forget about how many times it kicks me out of a goddamn match. It's games are more than the FPS counter at the top right of a screen. And not to say that it can't break an experience either. You can have memorable experiences because you try to play Half-Life on an OG Xbox and that just all went to hell. But still, I think there's a great point to be made that we have to kind of stop interacting with the narrative of the FPS and whatnot, because I think the main thing here is we focus so much on the technical aspect, but we don't know much about the technical aspect. We've been told that the Xbox has 13 teraflops and the PS5 has 11, and that should matter because of reasons. We're told about ray tracing, but we don't understand how it's truly implemented, why it truly matters. But we just been told that it matters. It goes back to the point of complain but consume. So for me, I would love to play every game at 60 FPS if I could. I wouldn't, or more than that, I would like to never see my screen, flicker or stutter, rather. But that's gonna happen. And
it's because you're playing Bloodborne.
It's because exactly. It's because I'm playing Bloodborne and I reached the goddamn bridge in Old Yarnow. But I still love that game. That's actually probably the best point, man. There are times they're playing Bloodborne, I'm like, I could put a picture book and start flipping it, and it has more frames than this thing. But Bloodborne is my personality. I love that game so much. It means so much to me. Though technically speaking, it's kind of a potato at times. Doesn't take away that Bloodborne is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yep.
That's been my TED Talk.
I think we have so many games that are coming out that are high profile, and when you look at each one, each one's had its own community in response to that. And when you watch it, who's reviewing, how they're reviewing it, and the flack that they get for it, it just reminds me once again that games are meant to be fun, and I don't care anymore, but I do pull myself away from conversations, and sometimes I'm just happier when I don't talk about something, which sucks because you want to share what you love,
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys know very well how much time I have in Halo Infinite. I still play it almost every day, play it competitively. And the battles that have gone on with that game over the past several months. And I post about it all the time. And it's you kind of have to take it like many things in life, which is just water running off your back, man. If people are going to be sour about it and try to come into your comments to tell you that it's bad to play it, I mute them and move on, just like most of those people.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I've learned to do as well. Just going on what I like to do now. This is just me, guys. You can yell at me, don't yell at the comments. But I like to go on Elon threads and just start muting people. It's so therapeutic. I'm getting ahead of it, guys. And honestly, I feel like we could get to the point where we could talk this guy down to getting check marks for free. We just gotta troll him a little bit more, and I think he's gonna do it. But there are some people I'm just I can't. Sorry, gotta get you get muted, and maybe you come back, but I can't do it.
There was a thread that a friend of SG K-Med put up with some dumb Xbox troll kid who I blocked him a long time ago because he just goes out of his way to attack PlayStation. Sure. And it was just going off about I couldn't remember if it was the Series S or God of War or something, and I was just like, man, I'm so glad that's not in my life. You just can't. And
it's tiring.
It's just exhausting. And at the time, more and more, I guess it's because I'm getting older. The older you get, the more experiences you have, and the more experiences you have, the more likely you are to have some that hurt or not healthy or they're bad. But as I watch real world stuff happen, I'm like, whatever. Shut up. I enjoy being Batman, or I like being a pirate, or I like being a Spartan, or what. Just leave me alone. I don't care. I don't care. I just don't. And quite similarly, in the content creation space that we inhabit, and because we're cast co-op, I don't mind saying, I get really tired of watching the inward battle of who gets what code and who doesn't. I hate that mess. It's exhausting. And when I get caught up in it, which I do, there are times where I'm just oh my gosh, why do I care? And I shouldn't. And it's so unhealthy, and it takes away my enjoyment. And
well, it's real talk. It's like when anybody Canadian gets a code from PlayStation, I get hurt. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to understand that's not actually PlayStation. That's just an agency in Canada. I still have to understand that my journey is different than theirs, and my trajectory is going to be different from theirs. And it's something that again, it's like the imposter syndrome. It's like you didn't get it because you're a piece of shit. It's the little like voice in your head that you just gotta ignore because it's dumb and it's just insecurities and anxiety talking to you, you know?
Yep. And silly because amidst being frustrated by column A, I'm getting wins in column B.
Exactly.
And like all of us, it's like, oh, I'm focusing on the negative and I'm doing the one thing I'm telling other people not to do. So stupid. And it's like, I know better than this. I know better than to care if somebody likes what game I like. I mean, Ains, you and I are staunch defenders of Anthem, right? I'm the guy that enjoyed Crackdown next to Breath of the Wild and Witcher and God of War, but like I still enjoyed it, And it's like I know better, but when I get weak or frustrated and then it starts bothering me, I'm like, oh, what is this?
And honestly, the only reason why like I'll troll you guys because I like you guys, and that's maybe a toxic trait of mine because having this fantasy critic league, I only care about review scores. I mean this wholeheartedly. I only care about review scores when it means I get to troll Sean Capri about it. Which I do on a daily. I'll just go in on our thread. I'll be like, I'm in your fucking head right now, Sean. I'm in your fucking head. I know what you're thinking. I know what you had for lunch. I know what you're thinking about having for dinner. And that is, I don't know, fun for me because we all know it's a bit of a gag.
Mm-hmm.
We all know, if I could take a British term, we're just taking the piss out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well played, sir. Well played. By the way, who had God of War?
Oh, I did.
Nice.
They had Elden Ring, but they also had Elysium. Valkyrie, Elysium, and Scorn.
All right, here's a fun one.
Not having Scorn. Come on.
They did.
By the way, God of War is not as high as Elden Ring, so God of War is not worth playing. Sorry.
What do you guys think, though? What do you think? Game of the year, God of War, Elden Ring. What's going to be?
I gotta play them.
I'm saying right now, having not, because I want to do a comparison thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, having not played God of War, but knowing that it's more God of War, where you fall.
As you guys like to say a lot, real talk. What I was telling someone the other day is God of War, we pretty much know it's going to be fantastic, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to enjoy my time with it. I'm going to take my time with it because I'm not reviewing it, thank God. And I'm going to enjoy and savor every bit of that experience. But the things that make Elden Ring special to me, and I think many others, given the audience of that game, are so both unique and different from your generic's a bad word, your general experience with big AAA blockbusters, that I don't think God of War, for me, stands a chance. Because it would have to do things so far outside of what God of War is supposed to do. Yeah. To be in that realm, the sense of exploration, discovery, kind of anonymity. I can't speak right now. To Joe's point, it's been a long ass day. But the exploring that world and just the sense of discovery you get from every nook and cranny of this massive world. That's not what God of War is. Yeah. I can't hold God of War to that standard because that's not what the game's trying to be. So for me, because those things are incredibly important to how I enjoy big open world games, nothing's going to touch Elden Ring. I'll be surprised if something touches Elden Ring in the next few years. I just don't see it happening.
Luke, you gotta tell my mother to settle down. I'm hearing her through the walls right now. No,
I broke her.
I broke you. The next one I was thinking, Luke.
I
do. So for me, I think.
Sorry, not to cut you off, Joe. Real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
all of what I just said, I think God of War will win Game of the Year at Video Game Awards.
Oh, interesting. I think it's Elden Ring.
I don't think it's Elden Ring. I think it's God of War because Elden Ring's narrative is very difficult to follow.
It's Sony model is going to win out in the end.
I think so too.
It's going to happen.
And Sony's model is something I wish more companies would adopt.
I'm not saying it's a bad model. I'm just saying that the character-driven third-person adventure model that is partially linear, partially, you can kind of do your thing, is going to win out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think actually this is maybe if this game is so. I asked Steve this. I go because I know he loved Elden Ring. He platted Elden Ring, and I go so before we start recording. I go, so what's your game of the year right now? And he's like, man, I can't tell you. Like, it's the thing I'll be battling for the next month. So that had me excited because I'm like, man, these are what one game is a sequel to a game that I think is again one of my favorite games of all time, and then one is a game from my favorite developer of all time, which is From Software. And so like I'm just eating either way.
Right.
But for me, Elden Ring's gonna be a tough beat. And Elden Ring was a game that I didn't want to, and I know this sounds really weird, but I didn't want to love as much as I did because I didn't want it to replace Bloodborne for me. Yeah, subconsciously. But what you said, I think is perfect. Like the water cooler moments that Elden Ring has is something special because most of us are going to approach an NPC like Patches, but we're all going to choose something different. Are we going to trust Patches, or are we going to straight up kill him, or did we get invaded by an NPC or a real player while we're fighting a dragon? Like all those things happen. So like, and how they play out, like you could play one scenario, but it plays out so differently for each person.
I was just gonna say I've played that game three times, and different things happen each time.
Yeah,
and you can play it in countless different ways. Whereas with God of War, I know what I'm getting, and that's again not a bad thing. It's just different.
Yeah. So for me, I think if I just had to say right now, Elden Ring's gonna win it for me. And I think it's gonna win at the Game Awards as well. If I had the Jeff Keighley Awards, if I had any guess, because I think
think of
that game also reached a different audience. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just thought that's important for me. That Elden Ring was able to hit the masses in such a different way than other From Software games that I think that's also telling as well. So many people going, this is my first From Software game and I beat it. Like that I think means a lot.
It's still one of the top games streaming right now, which is wild to think about. And it's already becoming one of the best selling games of all time. But think of 2018. And all jokes aside, because I'm going to make one right now, but 2018 with Red Dead 2 sold more, bigger audience, and was rated higher than God of War, and yet God of War won.
That's because Sony paid Jeff Keighley off because Jeff Keighley and Jim Ryan kissed.
Okay. All right. Two questions before I forget them. Do you think that's why God of War review codes went out as early as they did, specifically so that people could vote for Game Awards? Second question. I don't think Red Dead 2 is thought of as fondly, despite the numbers that are objectively accurate in what you said. I don't think it's thought of as fondly as God of War is. Do you think that has anything to do with the Game Awards?
I know. I'll disagree with that one, Ains, so that you don't have to attack Luke. I think Red Dead 2 is looked back fondly.
Really?
Yeah, I do think it's looked back fondly. I see a lot of people post like positively about it. Though again, I think Red Dead was better. But I think
remember it's also multi-platform, right? Whereas God of War is not.
And I think God of War, the reason why it's remembered so fondly was it did something truly different in a reboot. And I think for AAA games in general, that one cut is awesome. And then some other things. So yeah, I don't know if like Red Dead is looked back not fondly.
There's no data that's going to prove that either way, right? That's us guessing. So anyway,
stop talking out of your ass, Luke.
I was asking.
I think
acting. You believe that?
I don't know. I honestly, I'll just to close out my point on this. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I don't care who wins what award at the Game Awards. I adore Elden Ring more than nearly any other game in the history of gaming. And I'm sure that Ragnarok is going to be in the conversation of some of the best experiences I've had. And I'm going to love both of them for a long time. So that's all that matters.
I don't care when it's an Elden Ring and God of War. I care when it's like Joe Schmo game that no one played or no one cared, or like when it's an Oscar win for like the movie no one ever watched kind of thing,
Yeah,
and because it's a
sure.
hoity-toity thing, I get upset in those moments. But when it's a God of War and an Elden Ring, like, God bless, you know.
Yeah. I can see what you're getting at here. And yeah, like I don't need the Jeff Keighley awards to vindicate like another one of my favorite games of all time is Ghost of Tsushima. And I wasn't upset that The Last of Us ran train that year. Like it was fine because I still love Ghosts, and I know that both of those, and whoever wins, you know, is an incredible studio with incredible people inside of it. So yeah, I also am one with I listened to the podcast that called All the Airwaves with Phil Spencer, where Phil Spencer's like, I really hope that Cult of the Lamb is in the conversation of Game of the Year, and I'm like, I'm right there with you. Because I loved that game. And I'm like, it does. It deserves to be in that conversation.
I see a lot of people, again, I joke with you guys about this all the time. And it's like, I hate when people say I see a lot of people because it doesn't prove anything, right? All it proves is in your specific circle is what you're seeing. But Plague Tale is very highly rated. And it is... you know, I do know some people that have it all the way up as their game of the year. I don't think nothing's gonna beat out Elden Ring or God of War. But I think it'll be a contender. You know, it'll be on the list.
Yeah.
For
God
some.
bless. Hey, could we talk about the PSVR2?
Yes, I was literally gonna bring that up next.
Oh, go for it then.
PSVR2. So again,
I thought you had like a whole thing.
No, not at all, not at all. PSVR 2 announced this, well, not announced this week, but the release date's February 22nd. It is going to retail for $549 in the US. There is a Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle that you can get for $599 in the US. And the only accessory, Joe, keep me honest here, that I've seen is the handle charging pad for $50, $49.99. I am there day one. I've already registered to buy it. I said before, I think when we talked about when it was announced, I'm super excited about this. I think the conversation, obviously, since the announcement has been around the price because it's expensive. But here's where I stand on it. It's pricey because I think it's being considered pricey for two reasons. One, it's more than a PS5, which is kind of funny, but it's more than we typically see for a console peripheral, right? Like console peripherals are usually not in the conversation to the degree that PC peripherals are. Whereas what Sony has chosen to do with PSVR 2 is they've used tech that is very advanced. And they've basically said, we're going to do VR more seriously this time than we did PSVR 1. And quite frankly, there's a cost of admission for advanced VR. That's just what it is. And I have been one that has been saying since early last year, and I don't want to go back on my word, is I say all the time for both the consoles and other hardware that comes out in the console space, give me more expensive, more powerful stuff. I don't care. Like, give me the option. The Series X and the PS5 for me were awesome, but I'm also of the opinion you could have made a Series X Pro for $800 and I would have bought it day one. So that's just me, obviously. But I do like, personally, that they decided to go high end or higher end with the VR this time around. I appreciate that. I'm going to be there day one. I just hope that they have good content planned because I don't want to get vetoed again.
That is my biggest. That's my biggest problem. It's like, okay, the content looks. Reading from the PlayStation Lifestyle, like, here's all the games. It's like over 40 at this point. I'm like, all right, but show me more. Like, let me see. Let me see. I would even like to see, like, here's some 2024 game. You know what I mean? Like, I need to see a roadmap and extensive with all the pit stops on it. That's what I get worried about because, you know, Luke and I talked about this a bit on the trophy room this week. That and I'll dive in a little bit more here. That PSVR 2 has a mountain decline because a lot of the PSVR owners don't exist anymore. Like, a lot of them feel like
Sony killed them. Jim Ryan killed them, didn't he? Jim Ryan killed them.
No, but they're like, this thing's collecting dust, right?
Yeah.
Or like, it feels like Sony kind of just gave up developing for this thing halfway through because they saw it was successful, and they're like, okay, so the beta is out now, let's make the real thing. And that's what PSVR2 is. At least that's like the sense, or the temperature in the room right now. So it has a mountain to climb to win back those people to say, hey, invest again in this idea, because this time we have the tech that's going to back it up. And at the same exact time, I don't understand the outrage of like it's quote unquote expensive, because I love what Travis said on Twitter. It's like, dude, this is still like a $1,000 thing. Like that's all you need to get into VR at this point, or good VR is that.
It's cheap.
Where you take a look at like other VR headsets, and they're expensive, and you still got to plug them into $2,000 rig in order to play these games.
Yep.
So like, yeah, looking at it, it might price you out. I totally understand that. But I don't think this thing is A, for the masses, and B, I think this is them aiming for the audience that they think they can hit in the VR space to get people on board with entering the PlayStation ecosystem. So that's what I think about this. I don't think it's actually that. And it sounds crazy. You could call me fanboy, whatever. I don't think it's that the price tag scaring me in any way. I knew that was going to be the price, not because of any inside sources. It's like, yeah, everybody says that this is impressive tech inside this headset. Why the hell did you think it was going to be $300?
Yeah, I think I originally said $299 with a $399 bundle, and then as they detailed more of it, and everything's happened the past year that has happened, I said, okay, I'm going up to, I forget what I said. I think I said $399 base with a $499 bundle. So I was still off, but that's fine. And last thing I'll add before you add your comments or thoughts, Luke, is two things, really. One, I would be a hypocrite if I would say all the time that I want higher end stuff in the console space and not support this. So I almost, in a way, feel obligated to say they finally provided something that's advanced. I'm going to be there day one and support it, and hopefully buy as many good games as they offer.
Now, I do have a question for you, Ains, though, because we talk about like the support aspect. I'll let you get to the other point too. The thing that worries me is like this is all through a blog post. Like I would have loved a state of play.
Oh no, I agree.
Like
I think they still have to do one.
Yeah, like you can't just be like, and here's several little small videos for these really weird PSVR games. Like no, like show me the state of play with these things, because I think go for it.
No, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I don't mean to. Go ahead.
Yeah. That the one thing I think is they have shown us a lot of PSVR2 stuff, but it was just so long ago. Like they did show us Saints and Sinners 2, and it looks great. They did show us Horizon, and it looks great, but it's out of the mind's eye, and so we're all thinking about the here and now yet again. And again, the pageantry. This is a new hardware. You want to celebrate it, get people excited by it. I don't think a blog post is going to get new customers in the door. That was
agree, and I have a conspiracy theory for that.
Oh, okay, me too. I want to hear yours.
The only last point I was going to make is, for right or wrong, it feels like the console space is becoming more open to higher end pricing, right? I think that the consoles this time around were $500 each, generally speaking. They're selling better than anything before. They haven't had a problem selling at $500 like they would have 20 years ago. Tons of people that we know have $200 and $300 headsets. We have expensive memory solutions. I think the console space today has matured in a way beyond the traditional sense that we've known for decades, if you will, where it was like a console can't be over $299. We're past that now. So let's get more serious about the gaming. And I think that's why the Series S was such a cool thing. Whole different conversation, just the pricing. Conspiracy theory is that I think the reason they did this is that they get the price conversation over now. And then what you can do is have a state of play, say January. Well, two reasons. Like January is where you say, here's going to be a PSVR2 state of play for 30 minutes. We're going to show you the experiences coming to PSVR2.
Yeah.
They show Call the Mountain. They show whatever else they're going to show, right? And get people hyped for it. so they can not end with the price and then leave their state of play on a sour note where people are attacking the price and forgetting about what was shown at the state of play.
That's actually genius. Yeah, because that's all people would have thought about. I was like, wow,
Correct.
5. Because think about it with like the PlayStation 5 launch. They're like, oh wow, they did it. $400 and $500. These prices will never change or go up. And like everybody just talked about the games and how competitive the prices were.
And the opposite being the PS3, the famous one,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like, oh, that looks great, and then they said $599. Everyone was like, what?
Because obviously I had the conspiracy theory of like, I don't know, they have much faith in it because they just saw the quarterly earnings from Meta. And I'm like, maybe that scared them off a bit. But like, I feel a lot of these companies know as well when it comes to VR, it's a growing space. It's one that is people are still trying to find what's going to work here. And that they're prepared to take some type of hit.
Yeah, and I the other thing I was going to say is I don't think they know how many they can produce just yet. Hardware supply is still strained. PS5 has improved there, but VR is a different beast.
Yeah.
And so they may be at a place where, depending on how PlayStation Direct pre-orders go in 2 weeks, the 15th, I think, they can tell, okay, we've got 1 million pre-orders or 500,000, whatever it is. That's as many as we can produce. So we don't have to worry about selling out on day one. So we can wait to do this state of play until January, until February, because people aren't going to be able to buy them off the store anyway. Exactly.
Okay, so here's another question. This goes to you, Luke.
And Luke, I was going to say, Luke hasn't spoken in like 15 minutes. I think he's fallen asleep. You alive?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
He's about to go back in the coffin. It's daytime. But for you, Luke, I need you to go onto the PlayStation Store. I need you to register.
Dude, you already owe me $250 for this DualSense.
I know, and I'm good for it. I swear to God, I'm good for it.
You just quit your job.
I got another one. Don't worry about it. I got shit lined up. It's fine. Just believe in me. Because PlayStation Direct, guys, for the audience, every time I try to check out, it says error, something about like my payment method or something, and
that's not encouraging, Luke. His payment method doesn't work.
No,
I got a wife, bro. I just got a car and I'm having surgery. Leave me alone.
It's fine. Where are you having surgery? What's wrong?
Huh? Huh?
Tell you, it was mangled beyond repair. I don't know.
The dog went to town.
That's right.
Oh God.
But Rob Frawley just said, thank you, Rob. He said, according to IGN, they're making 2 million PSVR2 units by March. So they got a lot of them. That's promising.
That's a good sign.
That's promising.
So,
assuming they sell, it's promising. We'll see.
Yeah.
I like Rob Frawley, by the way. He's been very active in chat tonight. And good points.
Rob's awesome. He joined us over, I think, Rob, keep me honest here, but I'm pretty sure you came over with Hogue when he joined Big Cast and has been hanging out with the SG crew since then, I think.
Oh, that's what's up. Very nice. Very cool.
What up? Luke, I know we talked a lot about PSVR on the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, which you can listen to right now on whatever podcast service of choice. Where are your thoughts, though? A different question that I didn't ask here on the Trophy Room is, are you a little bit like me, a little nervous you didn't see like a state of play? Or do you think you're right there on the Ains group that it probably because, the price.
Nervous is getting the price out there ahead of time is a really good method if that's what they were going for. The problem is I don't trust PlayStation to have good messaging right now. I trust them to nail their. Here's the realest of real talk. Acknowledging that I host an Xbox show, whatnot. I trust PlayStation to deliver top tier AAA games, but I don't trust them to have good design hardware, and I don't trust them to get their messaging right. Yeah. That doesn't mean they don't get their messaging right at times. Doesn't mean their hardware doesn't do well at times, but like PS5 is a monstrosity. I worry about that. Like what happens when I put on the PSVR2, right? Mind you, have never done any VR, right? But
Yeah.
you're asking me about what makes me nervous, and it's like, I don't know about hardware when it comes to PlayStation, and I'm not sure about their messaging, but I'm also all in on their experiences and what they've done for gaming. So take that for what you will. I have Vita fear, because Vita was my favorite portable of all
Vita
time.
is better than the Switch. I said it. I'll stand by it.
You're not fucking wrong.
If Vita was more comfortable to hold,
Yeah.
I think you're right. After long sessions were a little bit difficult.
Dude,
with the Vita,
the
but I would play
carpal
that.
tunnel is immediate, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I love.
Oh, so it is for the Switch with me, but that's a whole other thing. Steam Deck's the best for that, honestly.
Do y'all remember? Let's
Oh,
just go down memory lane. Let's just derail. Do y'all remember the first time you played on a Vita's OLED screen and you were just like,
yeah,
good lord.
Dude,
This
playing Gravity Rush blew my mind.
This is a true story. Before the Vita released, Sony used the Vita to promote OLED technology because they're part of the groups that fund the development of these technologies. So you used to be able to go to like home theater stores before, as OLED TVs were coming out, and they would have a display Vita to show the colors and the black and all that. Pretty cool.
Dude, Vita was the best. Like, there's no one Vita game that stood out because I had so many, because PlayStation was so good about cross-buy. So you would get PS3 version, PS4 version, and the Vita version. And you just jump in. Like, I played so many games that way that I owned as a result of all three. Dude, I played remote play for my PS4 all the time. I played a ton of Black Flag on my Vita via remote play. I mean, God, that thing was just special. I even loved the game Unit 13. Y'all remember that? Pretty light game in terms of like perfect for Vita sessions. 15, 20 minutes, shooter, third part, dope. Put it down.
Repurchase a Vita, guys. Maybe this is what does it.
I love the Vita. I had the white one.
Mine's sitting right there, and it has a pin code on it that I set up, and I don't know what it is.
Oh no! Oh no!
I can't. When I turn it on, I can't log into it. So
Shovel Knight on the Vita. Oh, remember when Shovel Knight was new? Like that was all the rage. Oh my gosh, guy!
You picked the one game
Shovel Knight was special at the time, man. It is time.
I suck at it, but I appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. It's so I'm sorry. I derailed hard because I just love the Vita, but PSVR 2, like, it makes me here's something that's interesting since our conversation last night on Trophy Room. It makes me wish we had an Xbox version of that, because I talked about ecosystems, right?
Yeah.
Would I be more inclined to spend $600 on something that let me gain achievements, or have the Master Chief, or like jump in and fight the Locust, or be in a
Real
car?
talk, I feel like if there was like you're putting on the VR and you're putting on like the Master Chief helmet, you would buy that shit day one.
I think I would. And but because I thought about it hard, I was like, because I've never wanted VR.
Yeah.
Would that be it? And like the Leviathan axe is pretty damn tempting. Like if they have a God of War experience, you recall the Leviathan.
I'm actually really surprised given the timing of everything. Although I know God of War was supposed to be last year, so maybe long term it didn't work out. But I'm pretty surprised they don't have a God of War experience, or maybe they do, and we don't know about it. But they don't have one ready for launch.
If they can get a game, not like a full 6 to 10 hour game, dude, that might be what gets me. You know what I mean?
Well, there's, from what I've read beyond the presentation, if you read the press release from the developers, Call of the Mountain is supposed to be a fully fledged Horizon game. It's not like a visual tour experience. It's supposed to be a real full Horizon game, not 60 hours, but you know what I mean? Like fully featured.
That would, and it, again, that game looks great. And the other thing that like people are like, let me see, where's Alex? We've been hearing rumors of it. So like, if the IP are killer, and if they do something truly exciting with the tech that does something incredibly different that's not gimmicky, then this thing is going to succeed and it's going to sell really well. And this is a joke, but it's not. If people find a way to put porn on this thing's gonna sell. Because
I'm sure that's
the way that tech wins.
Yeah,
you know?
porn drives tech. That's literally that's one of the two reasons why Blu-ray was successful.
And if you
Right?
As soon as you said that, Joe, Luke logged in. You see him log into the browser?
register, pre-order. Let's put these haptic feedback things to the test.
Joe, he's like, Joe, I can't help you. It says limit 1 per order.
I can picture Luke's life being just ruined. His wife left him. He doesn't care. He's just.
You see him in the coffin, and it's just a headset.
He died happy and
Not like
dehydrated.
this. Open mouth, hands wide.
Happy and dehydrated is how he died. He died how he lived.
He died how he lived.
Confused, alone.
But surrounded by the thing you love the most.
But he's got a big ass smile on his face, and that's all that matters.
That's right.
Unrelated, do you think your mom would be open to some 3D imaging, Joe?
Whoa!
That's an unrelated topic.
Talk about the real remote play.
That's right. Oh, jeez.
Oh, man. All right.
This is a good episode, guys.
It's
I
good to be
wasn't
back.
sure about it in the beginning when Ames was yelling, but
When I got angry.
Honestly, I'm feeling it now.
The funny thing is,
Yeah.
I wasn't even angry. I was just hyped up. I had way too much energy coming into this episode. I think I was honestly excited to be back chatting with you guys.
Aw,
I very much missed you guys, and it's been nice to podcast.
I'm indifferent.
Especially, but I will tell you, I will tell you, I think what bothered me most about that whole argument with Cyberpunk is I think we were arguing 2 different points.
Yes.
I really think we were.
Mostly,
I
yes.
really think we were arguing about 2 different
And
things.
I've literally agreed with you on the other point, which is the funniest thing. So,
But I think if you track back our DMs, I was like, it's a disaster of a launch. And that was what I was saying.
yeah,
I think.
it was.
I don't know. But I think that's funny because it's like, oh, I think we argued about the wrong thing.
yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah, I as the child watching the parents fight, I was scared.
That wasn't a fight.
When
By
you
the way,
started muting me, I was like, I'm offended by
No,
this.
it looks
I
like
know. I
I'm
could
poop-
tell you were mad. I didn't mute you a third time. I was about to, but I didn't. What was I going to say is the sheer fact is you've both played it now. You both enjoyed it. I loved hearing Joe's take on Johnny, because I think, no joke, I think the last time we recorded this, I actually mentioned Johnny and the
Yep.
relationship at the end of the game that you have with him and how special it is. And I love that you've got no experience that now. So it's awesome. And I love that Keanu is coming back for the Phantom Liberty expansion. So, man, pumped for that.
Very excited.
I've got Evil West, Vampire Survivor, God of War, and potentially Sonic on my next few months list through the winter. But there will be a time where I think I check out Red Dead 2. Finally. I really do think there'll be a time.
That's awesome. 1 and 2. I don't say this sarcastically. I don't think you're going to like it.
I don't think he's gonna like it either, but I would preface Luke, please make it to the plantation.
Okay.
That
chapter 3, I think it is.
Okay.
Here's the thing, again, as a gamer, I'm like, whatever. That hit. That hit
So
really hard.
the funny thing is, Luke, is because I know based on our conversations, at least I think I know, the thing you dislike about some of those open world games is kind of what you consider I don't know the right way to say this, like aimless wandering, where you don't feel like you have a clean objective.
That's probably fair.
Whereas this game, like the beauty of this game is literally that. It's literally just walking around the world, taking in everything around you and experiencing it for what it is, not because you have to or you get anything for it or there's a point to it. And I think that's what is going to discourage you. But even if you just beeline the main story to Joe's point and get through some of the key moments, it still has some incredible writing and moments that you can enjoy.
Because if you think Last of Us is up its own ass, Luke, I think with what Luke digs video games. He doesn't like simulators. Red Dead is up its own ass when it comes to the simulator aspect.
It is.
Yeah.
Like when you get to like, oh man, I left the long gun and the horse. Like that's, I feel like gonna be the biggest complaint you have with this game.
Yeah.
And that's what will probably drive you away.
Do you want to be a cowboy? And when I say that, I mean, do you really want to be a cowboy?
Yeah,
that's what this game is.
So
then you're not going to like the game.
But I think it's time I give it a shot for a lot of reasons. But I'm the guy that had the Redeemer achievement from Red Dead 1. Loved Red Dead 1. You know what I mean? Like I think it's time. and I'll have the window, hopefully, and we'll see. But yeah, I do like video game-esque games. That's what I like, right? Sometimes or often I like turning off my brain and just going in and being OP or doing whatever. I've been playing this game Habroxia. It's just a shmup.
Yeah.
I've been playing I beat the first one, new game plus it. Second one, new game plus it. Just enjoying it, right? Turn my brain off or listen to a podcast, watch a show. Same thing with end games and certain things. So we'll see.
The funny thing about that statement, not to cut you off, Luke, is that's exactly the way I feel sometimes, and why I love RDR2 so much is that it literally transports you to 1899, and you can live and breathe in that world. And it, in my opinion, is the best open world ever created. For a number of reasons I've talked about way too many times, which I won't bore you with. But even like Witcher 3 is a better game, in my opinion, overall. I mean, Witcher 3 is better than almost everything. But Red Dead 2 has the best open world ever developed, in my opinion. It's just absolutely incredible, and you can get lost in it. But it can be very slow if you're not in that mindset.
It's all about the mindset. And I think once my life slows down a bit, I'll be able to get to that mindset. Because that's how I was able to do Cyberpunk. Was I got it on summertime, which meant I wasn't working, and it let me ease into it at my own pace. Nothing to do with edge runners, nothing to do with any of that. It was the right time, and if it's the right time, then I think I can play the non-video game ass games.
Okay. And now you're making me want to play Red Dead 2 again, which I don't have time to do. So stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Even maybe if I go back now, maybe I'll finish that epilogue. You know,
it's really good because, I mean, this is known. This is not a spoiler, but the epilogue literally ends at the start of Red Dead 1.
At the start, yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, guys. Expansions, I'm here for them in 2022.
What did you say? You lagged a little bit.
I'm sorry. Expansions, I'm here for them in 2022. Like, having played the Resident Evil expansion, looking forward to the inevitable Halo Infinite expansion, looking forward to the Cyberpunk expansion, loving the Forza expansion. It's like, I like when I like a game and it gives me more of the game. Yep, I'm there for that. And I no apologies. Do I look forward to those things? Like that is something I loved about Arkham Knight. They had a full-on story mode DLC that had like 10 hours worth of story in it. I love when games do that, and I look forward to more of it. For sure. And it doesn't mean it needs to get harder. Like if an Elden Ring did one, I don't need a harder game. I just want more of the game.
It's funny you say that, because Sardinism just said in the chat, real talk to me, which is better, Elden Ring or Witcher 3, which is like choosing between my children. But
you do have a favorite, Ed.
I do. I said Witcher 3, and I make sure to caveat
kid.
this.
You have a favorite kid.
Stop it. To Luke's point, what part of what makes Witcher 3 even better than it already is are the two expansions, and Blood and Wine is the best expansion to a game I've ever played. And I think that when you take Witcher 3 complete with the Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, that it's just untouchable. That game can't be touched. I don't think CDPR will ever touch that game again. It's just it's special in a way that's hard to describe.
That's my holiday game, actually. Whenever if the rumor's right that like Witcher 3 is like in December or whatever, the PS5 patch one,
right?
I am jumping.
Is that really?
It's still before the end of the year. Yeah.
Shut up! I thought it got bumped.
No.
Oh, boys.
Yeah, because like I loved it, and I forgot why I dropped it. I forgot why, but I was loving it. And it's one of those things. Like, I didn't like it the first time around.
Neither of you have finished Witcher 3 either?
No.
Yeah, no. I beat Witcher 3.
But playing it,
I didn't do Blood and Wine.
When it was X enhanced, I was like, oh my God, this game is great. So, yeah. I'm excited to get into it.
It's incredible.
I played a lot of it, but I know I'm scratching the surface.
I beat Witcher 3 and did part of one of the expansions, but by then it was like I'd done too much. Like 150 hours is a lot of time for me to play a story-driven game.
It's a huge game. Yeah, it's
Question.
Right.
Do you think they're gonna put Liam's face on Geralt? Guys, the guy, I feel so bad for that guy because he knows he's the least favorite Hemsworth, and then secondly,
Luke Hemsworth is the least favorite.
Is there a Luke Hemsworth?
There's a third Hemsworth. There's 3.
Here's the thing. Luke Hemsworth, he's just happy he's forgettable. Liam is the one that you couldn't get Chris on board. We got Liam though, you know? So like he knows he's playing second fiddle. He's been playing second fiddle for a long time now. And now he's playing second fiddle to Henry goddamn Cavill.
Yeah, they could come to me,
Unwinnable.
nobody here, and be like, you want to be the main character of the Witcher TV show, which would be like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And they would be like, I'd be like, well, who am I replacing? They say Henry Cavill, and I'd be like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm not trying to replace Henry. That doesn't happen.
He left for two reasons, not just Superman, but he was not happy with the direction of the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were not following the books well enough.
Hogue and Travis tore the show and Liam apart last week on Big Cat.
But leave Liam alone. Like that kid is just trying. And if they do a time jump, it would make sense, right? Like if they go back in time, it's like a pre Cavill version. Like if it's like a younger one, that works. But that poor Liam, man. And you guys should Google Luke Hemsworth because it is rough. You're gonna look at images.
I got it.
I don't think they do that though, Luke, on the time because they are following the books. So it's gonna be sequential.
That poor kid.
Oh,
but look at Luke Hemsworth and just wince.
Oh boy.
I'm good.
Ains, just do it. It's not what you're expecting. You're like, oh,
it's not. It's kind of like the Baldwin situation.
Yes, it is.
It's like, oh, you're a Baldwin? Like,
like what?
Like, it's kind of like
you can't convince me that's not Tyrion Lannister. Stop it.
It's so weird, right?
It's kind of like a Targaryen situation. It's a lot of like, all right.
Like, yeah, wait a minute. That's not. You're not related to Thor.
Yeah. I'm sure he's doing okay though. We can't complain.
Sure.
Anyway. All right, boys. What do you think?
There you go.
Luke, take us home.
Guys, here's the thing. The important thing to remember is that Henry Cavill is back as Superman. That's the biggest takeaway.
It is awesome. That is awesome.
So happy about that news. Really and truly, guys, I hope you will take the time to check out each of our individual projects outside of Cast Co-op and share Cast Co-op with other people. This is meant to be our fun, enjoyable show where we just goof around and have a good time talking games. And so we appreciate those of you that have been here on the ride. You can find me on Twitter at Insipid Ghost, and you can find my content on all your podcast services and YouTube. The Xbox Expansion Pass. I do have a few interviews coming up, not this weekend, but in the weekends to follow. And if you missed any of the big ones, Seamus Blackley, Mike Chapman, a couple other big ones in the past few months that you guys should take a look
what's
at.
His name? The old Xbox exec was a great one.
Ed Freese.
Ed Freese.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really, really, really appreciate the shout out there. Thank you. But yeah, check out XEP at your leisure, guys. We really mean a lot. Ains, what do you got going in the cooker here?
Yeah, so you can find me as Portia Power or Ains. Everything, as I always say on Season Gaming, you're already on the channel. So just check out the site. We've done a lot of content lately. Several reviews, tons of articles, some good in gaming stuff, just a lot of output from the crew. So, small site, all your support means a lot to us. And it's been really cool to see. We have still a lot of reviews yet to do this year. I will be, we've got God of War's review. We're going to be a little late with it because PlayStation North America, we do not qualify, as Joe kind of joked about earlier. But we got Horizon. So why didn't we get, anyway, doesn't matter. Makes no sense. But we've got more reviews coming. So I am reviewing a game, an interesting game that's coming out soon that I can't talk about. I'm not even allowed to say the game I'm reviewing.
Same one?
So that's coming.
We're doing the same one?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah,
if it's the one, yeah. I am also going to be reviewing Warzone 2, which I realize is a multiplayer free-to-play game, but, there's a lot to talk about with that as a competitive experience. There's going to be some Halo content, of course, naturally from me coming. So just a lot that's going on. And I actually put up a video for our patrons that's in early access today, but will go live for everyone next week on Xbox and the Game Pass, what I call Conundrum, which is a conversation and analysis of the recent fiscal results of Xbox, along with Phil Spencer's comments on a few interviews. So that was a lot. I'm sorry. But just check out the channel, check out the site, and you won't miss any of it. Joe?
Hi. You can check out the trophy room.
That guy's still mad at you wherever he is.
Wherever he is. No, you can check out this week's trophy room, which I'm really proud of. Luke filled in for Kyle this week, and great news on Kyle's half because he had family situation happen. His youngest nephew was in the hospital. Arrived home today. Very
Nice.
nervous.
Good.
Very nervous about that.
Good.
So awesome to hear that on Kyle's end. But you can listen to Luke's and I chat on all things PlayStation that happened this week, as well as our review conversation with Steve from Console Creatures of God of War Ragnarok, which was a ton of fun. So make sure you check that out as well. Again, the trophy room, whether that is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you rate us 5 stars, it really does help us out. We have a God of War giveaway that ends on Monday. If you do either one of those things, and it really does help us out, and it helps fight my imposter syndrome that I fight on a daily basis. And you can find me over at Mr. Badbit as well. So there you go. Oh, and by the way, Extra Life, we're doing it this Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
YouTube.com/carpool gaming. That's where we'll be. I'll be in Rome, New York, touching so many people's faces, consensually touching people's faces. Unlike Elon. Nonetheless, we're already halfway to, or over halfway of hitting our $5,000 goal. So make sure you join us, have some fun, and donate for a really amazing cause. So there you go.
That's awesome. It's annoying because I done that before, and I'm doing Extra Life again this year. I wanted to do a Halo custom game community night for the thing, but Forge doesn't come out till Tuesday, and I was like, oh man, I missed it. They missed it by a couple days, but anyway.
Honestly, shout out to Sean Capri who really has run the whole thing terrifically. He's been working on this since like June. Like this has been
you guys have been crushing it. Yeah, it's been cool to see.
It's all him.
Cool.
All him.
And thank you, Rob. We got a super chat in here at the tail end. Rob Farley, the second $5 super chat. Thank you, brother. He said, got 2 on-screen shout outs. So Ains clearly pressured me into this super chat. All the best. Good night, all. Thank you, guys. We promise it won't be 5 weeks again. Joe and I will do the show without Luke, and we'll just talk bad about him the whole time if he tries.
Honestly, I don't know why we didn't do that, because he was literally, Luke, we're just going to talk a little bit of shit. He was really the only one holding us back, I want to
damn good reason.
I mean,
I got quiet for a minute because you were like, "Oh, wait a minute."
But no, thank you guys. Thank you everyone in the chat for hanging out with us. I know it's been a very long time, like we said, since we were here. But if you check us out later, please. The usual, right? Give us that like, give us a comment, let us know what you do or don't like. And I'm sorry for getting so animated earlier. I'm very passionate about my Cyberpunk, as you probably witnessed.
Burning.
I had no idea.
Cast co-op. Keep casting. That's how I wanted to end it.
That's the new exit.
Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, bye.